All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our live stream. We're going to talk about how Solana and how it went down yesterday and how he's seeing this as a pattern over the past few weeks and what you need to understand about this. Okay, I'm going to talk about this and actually reverse engineer what happened as a blockchain developer, try to break it down in simple terms so that you can understand what's going on with the Solana ecosystem. We're going to look at live with the news updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just turn on notifications, subscribe. You're going to find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions from the live chat here. Check on the crypto markets, look at some of the trends on chain, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory. On this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Above Realty. We got Charles. We got Ruff, Dale, Matthew. Let's see here. Sasky, Lee. Let's see here. Robert Dean. I hope I'm saying this right. Awesome. I'm glad somebody actually changed their name to that. That way I can literally read, I hope I'm saying that right. That's awesome. Kudos to you, whoever did that, whatever your actual name is. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about what happened with Solana yesterday. So the Solana blockchain halted for 4 hours, okay, and we've started to see this kind of pattern play out. We've had some, downtime with Solana ecosystem. They call their product essentially the mainnet beta, and for this reason, we've seen, some outages you expect to see with beta software. Last week, we saw that essentially Solana was having an issue with their clock on the nodes themselves. So if you look, you can actually go check the status at status.solana.com to see the current status of the network. They're still having this issue with the mainnet beta clock drift. Basically, there's nothing wrong with the actual functionality of the chain itself, other than the fact that the time on the blockchain will not match the time that's on your computer or the wall clock. So we covered this last week, but now there is another problem that halted actual execution and block production for about 4 hours yesterday, okay? In addition to the one that was much longer than that was a couple weeks ago. So basically, we had this happen for about 4 hours yesterday with a problem that's got to do with something called durable nonces, okay? So what is that? Well, Solana has a lot of unique design implementations in order to accommodate the speed of the network. So, the philosophy of the Solana blockchain is try to create a layer 1 smart contract platform that scales, that processes lots of transactions really quickly. Compared to a blockchain like Ethereum or others, where essentially their strategy is to create a blockchain that maximizes security and decentralization, maybe at the cost of scalability, but to add the layer on top of that with layer 2s to enhance scalability. Okay, so now when you're doing those design choices, you have to do creative things to try to accommodate that speed, because blockchains by nature are typically slow. So durable nonces are the mechanism here that tries to help make the blockchain faster, but this is actually what had a bug, okay, that caused the network to go down for about 4 hours. So let's try to explain what they are so that you can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So basically, durable nonces are a niche type of transaction that's designed for offline use cases, okay? So essentially, how you can think about that is, what's a nonce in blockchain in the first place? Well, it's basically this number. Okay, that's actually what nonce is. It's a random number. And they have multiple different applications. Like if you're doing proof of work, the nonce is basically the number that the miners are trying to guess to complete these cryptographic puzzles so they can get a valid block header, so they can add the block to the blockchain, okay, and get paid that passive income reward for mining blocks. There's a nonce in that case. Whenever you're doing transactions like on Ethereum, for example, your transaction has a nonce. It's got this number, so that helps it properly include the transaction into the chain. Like if you were to submit multiple transactions, something like that, the nonce is a random number that helps keep those identified. Okay. But Solana has this concept of a unique, durable nonce. Okay. And to be fair, this is something that represents an incredibly small percentage of transactions until recently. So basically, it's been growing in popularity among exchanges. So basically, this is probably a bug that has existed for a while but never really became an issue because it wasn't something most people actually used. Okay, so durable nonces for Solana are designed for token holders with complex offline signing setups that can't always prep their transactions fast enough for the speedy network. Again, so this is there to try to help accommodate some of the speed of the chain. So, for example, if you have a custodian that signs a Solana transaction with two air-gapped computers that may not be able to finish the job within a single block. So normal transactions in Solana would fail in this scenario, but durable nonces give the token holder time to work, okay? So basically what happened yesterday was Solana failed to handle the durable nonces properly. And so instead of treating these like niche inbounds as a single transaction, the network's validators double counted them into a single transaction at two different block heights. So essentially, we're talking about double counting. That's really the problem of double spend. And that's kind of one of the whole things that blockchain tries to solve in the first place is to prevent the problem of double spending. You know, if you have a blockchain and you want to keep the integrity of your account balance, like if I have 10 Bitcoin in my wallet, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, I can only spend those 10 Bitcoin, that I can't, you know, take the Bitcoin and then spend 20 Bitcoin if I only have 10, you know, Bitcoin in my wallet. And part of that's, in order to do that, you have to have proper accounting for each unit. And that looks like here, the issue with durable nonces is that they were potentially even double counted. So instead of basically, it looks like these transactions, and so basically it effectively broke Solana's consensus mechanism, and that's why the entire network was, you know, shut down. So basically, the bug was known. It was being fixed prior to Wednesday's events, but it hadn't been triggered from this forum, and it finally got triggered. And it looks like these transactions were not actually like double counting the chains. I don't think we have like a massive double spend problem or anything like that. It looks like these transactions were, you know, frozen. But that's, you know, hopefully this is something that can be resolved quickly and speedily. It looks like they were, you know, actually doing that, but then the problem actually occurred before they were able to fix the bug. And it looks like the network is now resuming operations as expected. So you can actually go check on everything at status.solana.com to see whether, you know, the blockchain is currently producing blocks, what the uptime is. You can see it for all the different test networks and also the main network. So again, we've been tracking some of this, and every time this happens, like my point is not to like dunk on Solana. Everybody's been watching this channel for a long time. They kind of know what my stance is. But if you don't, if you're brand new, basically, I typically try to steer people. First of all, let's put it this way. At the end of the day, my goal in this channel is to help you all, become, blockchain developers and to, get into the ecosystem and focus down on the technology that's in demand that also has a lot of longevity. And that right now, that really is the Ethereum ecosystem. I don't mean just the Ethereum blockchain itself. Is like, if you go down the Ethereum track and you learn Solidity, then you can take those skills and apply them to many other EVM compatible chains, Binance Smart Chain, whether it's, Avalanche, doesn't really matter, right? So all kinds of different EVM compatible chains. Some of the most common questions I get is like, should I go learn Rust? You know what I mean? Should I go down that track? You could go down the Solana track. But right now, we're seeing lots of, issues with the main network that, honestly, if I were a total beginner, like they would kind of make me nervous at this stage in the game, like completely trying to commit all my skills to that when you see this type of activity. And so really, part it's a cautionary thing if you're trying to learn where to invest your skills over the long term. Like time is one thing you can't get back. And that's why I really try to focus people into investing where things have a lot of uptime, longevity, and large developer ecosystems. Now, again, none of this is trying to dunk on Solana by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying that Solana can't become a thing and do well over time, okay? And that there can't be a much larger developer ecosystem and be a really good opportunity over the long run. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying right now at this point in time, I focus my efforts in a certain area very intentionally, and you're kind of seeing one reason why in real time. Okay, so I gotta say, man, that I'm not saying I'm never going to support Solana. We might start doing Solana stuff in the future with Dapp University, but right now at this point in time, um, it just looks like it's not quite right for that. But the crypto space moves fast, man. I mean that we could be saying something completely different in a matter of months. That I don't think so, but it's always possible. Somebody said they slipped from Sol Maxi to Mega Bear. It's going to zero. Let's see here. Awesome. This is Solana's in beta. Yeah, totally. I mean, I call it the mainnet beta. That's what it says. Right here on their status page, Solana mainnet beta. So anyway, if you have funds on Solana, I don't think it's like, I think you should be able to access your funds. I don't think your funds are compromised by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I don't think it's going to bode well for the price of Sol. Markets tend to get a little more bearish when, things happen like that are kind of bearish for the tech. Although, I mean, a lot of the cryptos look pretty correlated with one another. I don't know how much effect it actually has. We saw a 7% drop in Solana yesterday. Saw a 5% drop in ETH. I mean, that's pretty normal discrepancy, even with just relative to the market cap of the cryptocurrencies themselves. So one thing we did see yesterday was we saw the former executive from OpenSea get whacked with insider trading. So we covered this when it came out initially. It was Nate from OpenSea kind of got caught. I think what happened was he, bought some NFTs before they hit the homepage of OpenSea, like he knew they were going to, and he made, some trades off that. And I think it was kind of like laughably small compared to what his, compensation probably was, or his equity or whatever. And we saw that when that came out, but now it's come out that he's actually been charged with insider trading, I believe, from the SEC. I think that might be the only body that's able to see if it says SEC. I don't see SEC in here. I'm not sure. I don't know if another government I don't know if the SEC is the only government agency that's allowed to charge people with insider trading, if other people can. If you all know in the comment section, let me know in the comment section below. I'm not a legal expert by any stretch of the imagination. I don't pretend to be. I'm not a lawyer. It just brings up a lot of questions, and I'm seeing lots of other people answer these questions like, hey, if this happened at OpenSea, like what's going to happen next to a lot of these other exchanges, right? Like how many people have bought coins before they got listed? You know what I mean? And what does that mean for crypto versus securities? All kinds of questions get raised, and when things like this happen. Somebody says this channel make you crypto smarter every time you watch it. I'm glad somebody feels that way. So if there's something that you want to cover right now, let me know in the comment section below. Try to keep these things interesting right now. I mean, there's less like big major news to talk about while things are, kind of bearish in the space. Things got a little bit quieter. I definitely want to keep these streams high value for you all so that you feel like, you're getting what you came for. So, let me know what that is. We've even talked about potentially doing some more like technical live streams, like coding live streams or something like that. Try to figure out what the format of that would look like. We've tried some of those in the past with kind of mixed results. But, I definitely want to serve you all who are trying to become blockchain developers or are blockchain developers, getting into this space. So I definitely want to hear from you all and what the kind of things you want to see, so that we can make the Dapp University community the best place to learn Web 3.0. All right, so we got a lot of great questions in the chat here. We'll check on those here in a second. So, all right, well, let's answer a couple questions here. So basically, I got a couple quick questions. So, do I think Solana will survive the winter and become adopted more over time? I mean, do I think Solana is going to survive the crypto winter? Well, there's a couple of assumptions in there. I don't know if we're going to have some like massive crypto winter like we did 2018, 2019. There's a lot of assumptions in that, right? There's a lot of people who just think that history is going to perfectly repeat itself. Well, ask those people what they thought about the last, sort of bull cycle that we had. Did that look really anything like prior bull cycles? Not really. I mean, it kind of did, but we had a double top, right? So by the same logic, like why is the next 2 years going to look exactly like 2018, 2019? I don't think anybody can give you a clear answer on that, especially when one of the biggest things that's affecting this right now is what's going on with the broad economy. And there's so much that's outside of our control with inflation, with the central banks, and also just whether we're going to go into a recession or not. I think it's likely that we're already in a recession. I think we're probably going to get some numbers come out in after June that show a contraction of GDP, which would mean 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, which would mean a recession. Now, whether that means the end of the world, I don't think so. So anyways, there's a lot in there, right? But do I think that, so I kind of got the point, but basically, like, we're definitely in a downturn, right? I mean, there's nobody can look to see what happened over the past 6 months and say that's just a dip in a bull market. Like, that's not really true, right? Like nobody can pretend like that's the case. So, I mean, that is a bear market. Call it what it is. The question is, how long does it last, and what's going to be the implications of a technology, something like Solana, is what they're asking. So, I mean, we just don't know what Solana is going to be long term, right? We don't know. There's been a lot of promises about what it's going to be, right? Like an ETH killer, all that type of stuff. I've pretty clearly expressed my opinions on that. What I think the likelihood of that is on my channel multiple times over the years. I mean, some of that's pretty convenient to say when cryptocurrency prices are going up because people will just gobble that up and say, yeah, buy. When everything's really frothy in the bull market. But now you're starting to see some of the weaknesses actually crack, which can make it kind of stressful in a bear market, right? If you might have bought at the top and like you're already down 70, 80%. Okay, so I totally get that. Now, will it survive the technology itself? Yeah, I think it will, right? But we just don't know what the long-term potential is going to be, right? Does that mean that it's going to even get, is it going to mean it's going to get back to the same level of utilization it was at its peak? We don't know, right? Like we saw lots of technology in 2017, 2018 really dry up. Like EOS was a pretty good example. I mean, I remember when everybody thought EOS was going to be the big thing. I mean, I remember I had a big fork in the road when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Do I want to develop on the Ethereum ecosystem? Do I want to develop on EOS? And, I really intentionally dove in hard to the Ethereum ecosystem. And one of the biggest reasons is because I had the largest community of developers. And I knew from being an experienced developer already that, that's huge. Like being in a place where there are other developers and you can get help when you get stuck and you can Google your way out of questions. Like if you don't have that, like that's really hard, okay? And we didn't even have that to a high degree whenever I learned Ethereum in the first place, but it was a lot more than something like EOS. Now, when things went down, when the markets went down and EOS didn't really gain that big amount of traction, even though people said, yeah, EOS is going to be this big thing, coins pumped like crazy. It's still there. Like you can still use it, right? But I mean, who's even been talking about EOS in the past, 2 years? Like basically nobody. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, Solana. I'm not saying that, right? But it just because something will exist and survive doesn't mean it's going to actually thrive. But it could. We just don't know what the clear answer is. The market will decide. Have I ever thought about going live on Twitter Spaces? Could you give that a try? So this is please could do coding live streams. Yeah, I'd be okay with doing coding live streams. I just gotta figure out how to make it work. We kind of had it with mixed results in the past. If you've seen any examples out there, people doing coding live streams that you really like, let me know, and then we can learn from that. It's just it can be kind of tricky. MEV strategies, yeah, totally. Join a more organized community-based conversation, yeah. It's more about solidity, yeah, totally. Somebody says at my last crypto meetup, a lot of dev folks were mainly talking about Stark, I'm assuming StarkNet, Avalanche, Solana, and Polygon in addition to ETH, of course. Yeah, totally. So the Robson testnet, I'm not sure if there's what question there was in there. This is doing interviews with people from the industry. We've done interviews in the past. It's really just got to be somebody that people really want to see on the channel, and it can be really hard to manage those sort of leads into a pipeline. It goes a lot of back and forth trying to schedule somebody for an interview and like trying to figure out what you're going to talk about. You don't really want to just get on there with somebody who's higher profile and just wing it, right? There's a lot of preparation involved, and if there's somebody like that, like if we had Vitalik come on the channel, I mean, I would drop everything that I was doing and make sure that happened. So, if anybody out there is watching and we want to get Vitalik on the channel, definitely shoot me an email to gregory@dappuniversity.com. Would like to see a conversation between me and a programmer who's a blockchain skeptic. Yeah, totally. Well, just go ahead and fire the questions away in the chat and we can hash them out here. All right, so let's take a quick peek at the crypto markets, and we'll go ahead and wrap up here for today. So Bitcoin's trading back above $30,000. Okay, after we dropped below 30 yesterday, and everybody was kind of losing their mind, saying there's no way we're going to get back above $30,000. We're just going down to $10,000 or $15,000. It's just like every single take is just wrong, just wrong. So. Yeah, I mean, it's really anybody's guess as to what's going to happen next. We are kind of flapping in the wind right now with the uncertainties about what's going to happen with the overall economy. I mean, one big development is we're starting quantitative tightening in June. Okay. And I think people were kind of like hesitant to see what the effects of that are going to be. All right, we're starting to see what's happening with stock market. All right, so tech looks like it's having a little bit of a recovery here on the daily. All right, let's see if we actually hold this and if we close. Okay. So, people talking about crypto stock market correlation and, essentially, people wanting crypto to decouple from stocks. We're kind of seeing that happen. Like stocks are starting to perform while crypto is not necessarily. But there's still a tight coupling in most cases. So, we don't really want crypto to just be a correlated asset where it goes up when stocks go up. But I think it's important to watch stock market to see signs of what the overall investor sentiment is in relation to the broader economy, because I think that's the common thread that's depressing all markets, including the crypto markets. It's not just a crypto specific problem. Okay. So, I think we just I don't think there's a situation where crypto is going to rip off to infinity while, the stock market is in the gutter. And I think, like we want to see more signs of strength in the stock market before we can get too excited about crypto. Put it that way. It doesn't mean if stocks go up, that crypto is going to go up. But I don't think there's a scenario where crypto goes up right now and stocks go down or stay flat. So, and there's the question: is crypto going to lead, or are stocks going to lead? We don't know. But I would look for stock market for any confirmation of any moves going up. So that being said, we don't know if crypto is just, how long crypto is going to be at these levels. There's so many people that are just like, oh, we got to go lower. We got to break we got to break below the old all-time high. We got to do this. We got to do that. I'm not convinced. Okay. I think it's possible. I think we can go lower. I think we can revisit 20K and below, but there's so many assumptions, man. It's like there's so many people that are saying it has to happen like it did last time, but all those people were saying the exact same thing and missed the top in 2021 both times because they thought it has to happen the exact same way like last time. Like we had to form this perfect parabola, and once you find it, it's gonna be obvious, and you just sell and walk away. But it's like, well, I mean, my view is that we were kind of headed that direction for the second half of the bull market, towards the end of the year. But we got cut short because the bubble popped everywhere when the Fed was like, all right, inflation's out of control. We're going to tighten things up. And then everybody just sort of like fell apart, right? So how does anybody's charting account for that, right? How does anybody's technical analysis account for real world events that are going to affect the actual chart itself? So, that's why I don't think that looking at the technicals right now is going to say, now we know that we're going to go visit that 200-week moving average. We know that Bitcoin's going to go down and surprise everybody and form a final capitulation candle. Like we're just waiting. We're just waiting. It has to happen. It's like, it doesn't have to happen. Now it could happen. I'm not saying it's not going to, but I'm very wary of the people right now who are confident in really anything. Somebody says, am I trying the Jesus look? No, not really. I'm not Middle Eastern, and I'm not Jewish, so I can't change either of those things. Somebody might think I look like a European painting of Jesus, but I'm pretty sure that's not what he looked like. Somebody says, I have 2.5 years of software development experience. Will that count, or should I be considered as an entry level in blockchain jobs? So if you have 2.5 years of real world software development experience, I mean, the real question is, like, if you have no blockchain knowledge and then somebody else has no blockchain knowledge and no programming experience, like you're still going to be more valuable because you understand how to develop software, just generally speaking. You have experience. Experience is definitely worth valuable. Now, it depends on the job. You know what I mean? Like some jobs will just take software engineers and train them for blockchain, and they're assuming that you're starting from square one. So there will be a job probably out there for you right now without doing a whole lot. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be super easy to find. I'm not saying they're just like lining up and saying we're just going to take droves of programmers who don't know blockchain and train them, but they are out there, okay? Now, how would you increase the likelihood that you would get a job quickly? Well, basically, you would want to, I would go through everything I talk about on my channel, which is essentially, if you don't have blockchain experience, you're trying to answer the question, how do I get a job without experience, specific experience for blockchain? Well, you get that experience outside the workplace, which is basically to build your own blockchain-based application and use it as a portfolio to show people that you know what you're doing, okay? And so how do you do that? Well, you go through trainings, just like I have on my YouTube homepage. You can go through the Blockchain Bootcamp. Definitely find that link down below. Okay, that's the fastest way to do it, to master real-world blockchain skills step by step, start to finish. But basically, you use that, you build a portfolio project, and then you show people that when you're hiring. It's like, okay, I'm a Web 2 developer. I got 2.5 years of experience, but I also like built this blockchain app. Like, look at it. Here's the code. You can use it right now. Connect your MetaMask, swap some tokens with it. You've got blockchain experience at that point and you know what you're doing. It's just you don't have workplace blockchain experience. And I think you can get a good, solid job. You just have to be upfront about what your experience is. And you have to be saying, hey, I did this and I'm ready to do what it takes to provide value to you all. And that's what you always want to do. Anytime you're working for somebody, you want to concentrate on how can you make their life easier? How can you add value for them? The last thing you want to do is just be like, oh, okay, roll up in here. What can you do for me? Like, that's the word. I think that's like nobody's going to hire you if you act like that. Well, some people will because there's such a big shortage for developers, but those people are such a pain to work with and to hire. Trust me, I've been on every side of that equation. I've worked with coworkers who are entitled like that. I've mistakenly hired people who are like that. And it's just like, it's not good. Especially fake it till you make it. Yeah, definitely. But, a lot of people, especially programmers, have the imposter syndrome problem, so they think they're faking it when they actually are competent. Like, that's the whole idea of imposter syndrome, is you feel like a fraud even when you aren't. So, I mean, there's always this idea of like having to assume and communicate that you can do something that's like slightly beyond your experience, right? Like maybe somebody tells you to do a task, you understand how to do about 75% of it, and you can sort of accurately estimate that you understand about 75% of it, and then you can kind of learn how to do 25% of it and get it done. It doesn't matter as long as you can get it done. That's okay. That's kind of like faking it till you make it. Now, you can't fake it and have zero skills and expect to make it. Like, you actually have to expect to make it and then fake the part that you don't. And that faking isn't a deception. It's not trying to like lie to somebody. It's just like you're going through the motions until it clicks and makes sense. Somebody says, I feel that way. I've gone through the boot camp. I've created little dApps and bots, but I'm too afraid to apply anywhere. So basically, it's just time to apply, and it says most jobs for senior developers. That's not really true. There is basically the belief that that's true, but there's lots of people who are hiring, below that because they need talent. And at the end of the day, senior developers need to delegate tasks to somebody in many cases because really valuable senior developers aren't sitting there to writing code all day. Some of them are, right? But like the true architects, need to delegate tasks that are time consuming to people who, can devote more time to it. Okay, so here's the other thing is if you get intimidated by job postings that just say they're for senior developers, just because they're like if they're hiring anybody, it's a good sign that they're hiring, period. And they might make an exception for somebody who's really willing to hustle and learn. So somebody says they are finding projects with very little experience. That's what Philip says. So Philip, if you have any insight to the group here about your experience level and maybe what type of project it is. Are you doing freelancing? Maybe that can help other people. Somebody says, go on the Dave Ramsey program and convince him of the value of blockchain. That's awesome. I mean, Dave might be like, okay, it's legitimate technology that can employ people, but he's not going to get on board with crypto. I'll put it that way. Somebody says, so somebody says, is crypto markets affect the blockchain jobs? Is your job at risk if the market is down? So like in general, like the opportunity for blockchain developers definitely does not disappear. Okay. Now, I'll put it this way, like the the irrational exuberance of the crypto markets and other markets does apply to hiring. Okay, so like you might see really poorly funded, sketchy startups go under. But like if you work for one of those, you probably already know that, or like are kind of getting the sense of that. There might be a little scared of the market downturn. And if that's the case, like you might, like your job might be at risk. But that doesn't mean that blockchain developer jobs in general are at risk. Or if you were a part of some company that just overhired for a certain period of time, like at the very top, like there may be a risk right there, like the initial layoff risk or something like that. But that doesn't, like there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people who are hiring for blockchain jobs. Okay, so somebody was saying like, hey, how can I get a job with that experience? So Philip was saying he has gotten projects with very little experience. I asked him some of the specifics of that, and he says Solidity tokens and contracts, less than 2 months of experience, and already has 4 paid projects. Awesome. So that's good proof for you right there in the chat. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so more people learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.